folks. Hello and welcome to another edition of RSF Radio. I'm your host, Joe Monday, and today is it's December now. Ah, shit, how did I forget that? How can I forget that it's December with all the Christmas spirit floating around? I only say that because I was just out at the store with my wife, and it is... it's abrasive every year, but I guess, I don't know, I'm a little... It's too much. It's too much. I can't stand it. And also, while we were out, my wife accidentally dropped a roll of like glitter ribbon. We didn't realize it was glitter ribbon at the time until I looked at the floor after she had dropped it on top of her shoes, and her shoes were just covered in glitter. And I wouldn't let her back in the house. Actually, she's still outside. It's about like 30-ish degrees outside, wind chill like 14, but I can't have that sinful glitter in my house. I can't have that business on this house. This is a good Christian family house. There's no such devilish devices allowed in this abode. I say nay to that. But aside from my wife who might die from the wind chill alone, at least my house is glitter free. But hey, Capcom Cup is coming around the corner. We've got... I'm actually really excited about Capcom Cup coming up. Specifically, Last Chance Qualifier. I think that tournament in particular, there are going to be too many incredible matches to be able to put them on stream. I hope that most of them get to be on stream, but even if you take a look at the pools, which we'll get into here in a second, even if you do that, there's too many going on at the same time, where even in pool A, wave A, and wave B, it's just there's going to be so many good matches, and I for one cannot wait for that. It's going to be an incredible tournament, and I kind of want to run a breakdown of that before. Today's going to be a little bit different, by the way. If you've never listened before RSF Radio, we typically go in and cover the entire week of what's been happening on our Street Fighter, which there actually has been a lot of really good, interesting posts on our Street Fighter this past week. A lot of really good tech posts. It's actually, oh man, this one actually got me, where someone posted and I should remember his name, but someone posted a very long thread on specifically how to beat Balrog's tap. And it's like, you can't complain anymore. Here it is, with basically every character, where you jab, tick throw, option select it, and pretty much every character can deal with it. It's not an issue. And then later on today, I saw the same day. Saw that post earlier today of how to beat tap, and I was like, here you go, kids. Deal with that. Eat that. Adapt. No more excuses. But then, not even a couple hours ago, saw Matt Edwards have a tweet that said they're all -2 now, which he didn't really say. He didn't specifically say that it was tap, but I think that it was alluded to enough to where I'm under the impression, at least, that they're going to change Balrog's tap to everything being -2 on block. Which is also kind of nuts if you're making that balance change. I actually wonder if they're making that balance change, are they going to change anything else about it? It's going to be what do the iframes on that look like if it's still going to be -2 on block? I don't know. I actually got to thinking about it, but that's not what we're here to talk about, folks. We have actually a lot to cover if we're going to talk about the entire bracket of Last Chance Qualifier and Capcom Cup as it goes down. I'm just going to run through pretty much every matchup and kind of give my opinions on how things might go. Might run through some matchups quicker than others, but here's my particular breakdown of Capcom Cup. But first, let's take a look at the Last Chance Qualifier. I have all the pools brought up here to show you who is effectively going to be fighting Q in the bracket. I'll kind of give some things that I would be excited to see particularly right here. It might be a stretch because I think that Yuri and Zangief is a tough matchup, but Stupendous and Nemo fighting each other in round 2 of their pools, assumingly round 2 of their pools. That's not a great matchup for Geef. I don't think. I think Yuri can just beat Geef in the neutral clean. And Nemo is very good, or Nemo is very good. But the grappler apologist in me says maybe Happy Stupendous is going to be... Maybe he's going to lay down the hurt and give everyone a big upset. If he makes that on Winterside, I will be ecstatic. It is more likely that he'll come out on loser's side of his A1 bracket and go from there. However, man, wouldn't that be incredible? Next thing I want to bring up, a lot of people I saw have MOV coming out of Last Chance Qualifiers as the winner. A lot of people just assume his name came up. Nemo's name also came up as potential winner for this tournament. And it's funny that they're both playing pools at the same time, so that it's going to be tough to even catch both of these guys' matches at the same time, which will be exciting. I honestly think the later hours of Last Chance Qualifier are going to feel like day 2 of Evo. And if anyone's if anyone was there this year for day 2 of Evo, just so many good matches happening all at the same time that it was hard to jump from setup to setup and see who's playing who, what's the current score. It was very exciting. But wouldn't it be awesome if PR Balrog sent MOV to losers, or at least got out winner's side of the bracket? I think that would be exciting. I would like to see that. I think Brian F. will make it out of pools. I like Mono, but I think Brian F. has momentum right now, enough to at least put him out in winner's side. Here down in pool A4, Arlieth. I'm sorry, buddy. My man, I'm sorry. Another name that I saw come up a lot when I asked people, who do you think is going to make it out Last Chance Qualifier? A ton of people actually said Infiltration, and I kind of didn't get it. I had Infiltration out of this tournament pretty quickly. Not fast. I don't think he's going to lose in pools. I would love it if Arlieth beat Infiltration in round 1. I think that'd be incredible. Likely, I don't know. Infiltration's just coming off of a win from Wednesday night fights. He showed up and he won it. He won it with Manat, and it was a good show. But I will remind people that with the number of killers that showed up to Wednesday night fights, many of them, it's kind of a mix actually between people who have already qualified for Capcom Cup and people who are there to compete in Last Chance Qualifier. I know that there was mixed people in that tournament, but would you be playing to the best of your ability to win a effectively casual tournament the 2 days before the main course? Don't fill up on appetizers. Appetizers. Don't fill up on appetizers before the main course 2 days later. Now, he does have some momentum right now. I think Manat's a pretty good character. I think that she has I don't think she's a character that a lot of other people have figured out as well. So there's that. There hasn't been a ton of time with Manat. There has been a lot of time, but no one is playing it to Infiltration's level currently. But I don't know. I had him out of this tournament. I didn't have him as a favorite to win Last Chance Qualifier, but a lot of people seem to have faith in him. And if that gets you excited to see Infiltration just have this late season tear, where he kind of went away for maybe a couple personal reasons during the mid-season, but man, wouldn't it be incredible to see him come back this late in the game and just say, no, I'm going to win Last Chance Qualifier. I don't know if anyone saw the interview with Punk and Infiltration immediately following Wednesday Night Fights, but I think Infiltration is gunning for him. I think he has the bloodthirst, which we can talk about later, which would be an interesting story. I had to scratch my beard about it because my gut reaction had him not even making it out of Last Chance Qualifier, but now I think that it might be a possibility. Had to scratch my chin about it. Had to think about that for a minute, and I think it's a pretty interesting story. If I were a sports writer, which I am not, but if I were a sports writer, this would be... I would interview him if he made it out of Last Chance Qualifier. I'll say that much. All right, Pool A5. Don't sleep on Nick Tonella. Also, don't sleep on XSK Samurai. Both those players are very good. Nick actually had a really good showing at Wednesday Night Fights. I think he's hungry right now. I think he's playing really well. He plays Nikali. Look for it. He played Men RD in Wednesday Night Fights and won in a actually super exciting set. I don't know if that's very easy to find for you guys. Maybe you have to find the replays on Twitch at this point. Don't know if those made it to VODs quite yet. But I don't know, that match, I was just on the edge of my seat. It made me nervous in my gut. Like I was waiting for the doctor or something. Like it was uneasy the entire time, and that's a good feeling, I think, when talking about fighting games. I like that kind of feeling. But also, after he beat Menardi, after not on stream, he beat DDMO KOF. I think like immediately right after. I think it was back to back. This was not on stream. DDMO KOF has actually already qualified for Capcom Cup. He plays Dawson. Granted, I think Nick has a lot of Dawson players out there that he has learned a lot from. He's probably ready for that matchup. I don't know. I just want to throw it out there. Don't sleep on Nick. Moving on to Pool A6, name that steps out, Kaba. I like to see Kaba compete, but I would also like to see Kaba be probably cheering in the crowd. I don't know. I would like to see Kaba go far. I'm interested to see if people had him coming out winner's side of Last Chance Qualifiers. Alex Myers, that's another guy who has a lot of momentum right now in Pool A7. I think he'll make it out. Maybe Zaffarino. Like give him a little bit of Dai Mignon. I don't know. Dai Mignon hasn't necessarily shown himself this late season in the Capcom Pro Tour, but Alex Myers has a lot of momentum right now, so I'm thinking he'll make it out of his pool. And of course, F Champ in Pool A8. Hey, Mr. Mistopheles, I like sitting. Beat F Champ for me, will you? I would appreciate that. That'd be something else. All right, then. At 2 p.m., Wave B. Like, there are still more killers to go, and this is what's the time difference here? This is noon to 2. This is 2 hours later. We're going to see these killers face off against each other. Doomsnake in Pool B1. Velociraptor in there as well. The Time Dictator. And Sherry Jennings. Don't sleep on Sherry. Whom else? B2, we got Peru. JB, Lapchi. I didn't know Lapchi was going to be here. Damn. All right, cool. Like, even going through... Storm Kubo's going to be... Oh, man. That pool is... Dankadillis? Oh, damn. Dude, Pool B2. Pool B2's going to be nuts. Pavocado. Oh, man. That's... that is one hell of a pool. Looking at those names. Oh, that's going to be a fun one. I would be interested to see who makes it out winners and losers side in Pool B2. Quite honestly, that'll be an inch. I would like to be around that station. Let's say that much. A lot of good matches going on over there. Then in Pool B3, we got LPN and Xiaohai. I actually think not a lot of people said Xiaohai when I brought up. Do you think who's going to make it out into Last Chance Qualifier spot? Not a lot of people said Xiaohai, but I think that Xiaohai's gonna... I think he has a real potential to make it out of the Last Chance Qualifier. I think he can do it. He's one of my top. He's one of my top 2. I'm gonna put him in my top 2 slot. I'm gonna have. He's not my number 1. I think that goes to MOV in my heart, but Xiaohai is my close second. Okay, moving on. B4, Commander Jesse and K-Brad in Pool B4, of course. Who else we got? Pool B5, we got F5, Moisey from Chile, and Chris G. A lot of more people said that they thought Chris G was going to win the last chance qualifier than I thought. I thought he was out of momentum, but perhaps, he's got that fire back in him with Marvel out there. Maybe he's playing a little bit better. I don't know. Hard to say. I don't have much faith in that. I think there are much better players that are going to show up on Friday. Aqua and Dr. Ray. Got to be pulling for Dr. Ray, for DRA, sorry. Okay, this one's interesting because I don't remember how this one ended up, but I think so in Pool B7 we have I'm Still the Daddy and Punoi. I think they played each other last night at Wednesday Night Fights. I'm not entirely sure about that. I think I'm Still the Daddy won. I'd have to check the tapes on that one, but that will be an interesting fight here in Pool B7. And again, I'm moving on to Pool B8, Gamer B. It also surprised me that a lot of people had Gamer B, but I think he's out of steam. I think Brent can take him. I think Brent can come out winner's side of this particular bracket. That's kind of what I would be looking for. All right, and that just about does it for all of the pools that we know are going to happen, right? Those are the potential big names that are showing up to this tournament that we know so far. There's still the death pool, which has not been determined yet. I'm actually trying to look at these attendees. No, it's because the death pool person has to come out and play in this. So who we got? Okay, Christie's in the death pool. Marn, why didn't you sign up earlier, Christie? Perhaps he thought he would have a better chance not signing up for Valiant? Oh, man. Christy, why you gotta do that? Why you gotta do that to yourself? Oh, well. And then he might have to play Brent. Wait a minute. Would he have to play Brent after that? He would run into Brent next. Oh, man. Bad situation for Christy in that bracket, by the way. Uh-oh. Well, regardless, folks, I think that, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, I think MOV and Xiaohai have a strong possibility of moving on from last chance qualifiers into Capcom Cup the following day. The Cool Kid, I would actually really like to see the Cool Kid win it. In my heart of hearts, I'd like to see the Cool Kid win it, just because that's, like, he has a lot of momentum right now. Abigail's a fun character to watch. People who are cheering him, it's fun to watch. His wife, Joy, of course. Just that's also just a fun story. Again, the sports writer in me, which, by the way, not a sports writer, but the sports writer in me is saying that's a good story. That's a good story to tell, and I think it would be really interesting to see it happen. But I don't know. We'll see. Actually, where? I don't think I brought him up during this. He's okay. Yeah, he's in the same pool as Kappa. I kind of had a aneurysm at that point. I think he has a good chance of making it out. Winners. No, yeah, I do. I have faith. I think Cool Kid might make it out winner's side of his bracket. I'll at least go that far. I don't know where he'll go after that, but I think he'll make it out. But man, I would just love. Whoever's running the stream, please, whenever Nemo and Stupendous face each other in Pool A, can you please stream that for me, please? Pretty please. I have a lot of muscle investment in this muscle matchup, and I'd really just. I know you're listening out there, but so please. But let's just assume maybe MOV takes it, Actually, no, in my heart of hearts, just for storytelling purposes, let's say Infiltration takes it. Because I actually think this would be interesting in the bracket that I've made. I actually might change my opinion on this, but I'll let you guys know how my bracket runs down here in a minute. If you are watching the video of this, you'll be able to see all the brackets. I'll share links in the description so you can follow along. If you are listening at home, if you're in the car, do not look at these. Do not risk being in an accident. It's not worth it. Put your phone away. Troublemaker. You're a danger. You're a menace to everyone around you. Put it away. It's not worth it. Get some help. But let's assume that Infiltration wins it, and he gets this spot facing Punk in round 1 of Capcom Cup, taking place the following day. Now, a lot of people have talked about this to death, and I guess it's worth talking about that the player who wins Last Chance Qualifier already knows. So everyone in that bracket already knows that if they win, they're going to play Punk. So they've probably already studied that matchup a little bit beforehand leading up to this particular tournament. If you know that's a possibility and you're hungry enough, you're going to put in the work. So they know they're going to play him. They've watched the tapes. Punk, on the other hand, has no idea who he's going to play in round 1. That's, some people would say, a huge disadvantage. He had a really good response on Twitter, which was shared on our Street Fighter, that you can't, let me try and remember it correctly, you can't be surprised if you never study for any matchup ever, which it was in jest, but I actually don't think that's a joke. I think that's actually true. I think that's how he takes the way that he plays. He's just that skillful of a player. He's got so much raw talent. But with that said, let's just say he faces off against Infiltration in round 1 of Capcom Cup. I still think Punk takes it. I know he was throwing some shade yesterday, and it would be very interesting story-wise if Infiltration won it. It'd be a good story to tell. But I think this one's pretty easy. I think Punk's going to move on round 1. Here's my upset in the second match of Capcom Cup. I have no faith in the God. I don't. I think the gods have fallen. Granted, Daigo has had some momentum in this late season. He picked up Guile, and he has been doing rather well with Guile. But I have Brulee moving on in round 1. I have him taking it over Daigo. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I do believe that Brulee will beat Daigo in round 1. You got to have some upsets. That's my upset. I think that's going to, like, a lot of people are going to say, oh my gosh, Daigo, he lost to Brulee, but no, don't sleep on Brulee. He is a very strong player, very strong to Cali, and I think he can take it over Daigo's Guile, my opinion. But then third match of Capcom Cup, we have Kazunoko versus Big Bird. To be clear, before I say who I have taken this one, I love Big Bird. I think he's a great dude. I think he's a great guy. His AMA on our Street Fighter was fantastic. He has a great attitude. He's a funny guy as well. Follow him on Twitter. I love his community. I love watching the VODs from his community. It's very entertaining commentary. If you want to find some excitable styles, check that shit out. And I know that I would only say this much if I didn't have him moving on. That might be telling. But I think Kazunoko is going to take it. Kazunoko is just, he's so good. His Cammy is so good. He's been playing so well all season. I'm gonna be talking about Kazunoko a little bit later on this bracket. But I think his Cammy is very strong. I think Kazunoko has been playing very well, not even just in Street Fighter V, but in Guilty Gear as well. And I think that is helping him out. That's helping his game sense. He is playing very strong, and I think he's going to go into this tournament pretty hot. I am so sorry, Big Bird. I don't know if it matters if you play Zeku, and I don't know if it matters if you play Ken. You might be better off playing Zeku. Big Bird's probably better off playing Zeku in that matchup. But I gotta give it to Kaz. Alright. Fourth match of Capcom Cup. Cien versus Mena RD. I think this one goes to Cien. Ibuki versus... I don't know. Would he go? I guess he would go Abigail. That seems bad. That seems like Ibuki would be able to trounce, specifically with the number of setups, and look out for instant overhead, man. That's all I gotta say. If you pick Abigail, there's gonna be at some point there's gonna be a bomb. Let's put it this way. Let's put a bet on. Maybe not a bet, so I don't know who I'm betting in for what cost. I haven't thought about that yet. Maybe I'll think about that when I post when I go to post this particular podcast. But let's say the over/under on Cien doing a bomb instant overhead setup on Mena RD, regardless of who he chooses, because he could also maybe go Birdie, which is also a big body, not as big a body as Abigail, but we got that big body, and I'm thinking number of bombs into instant overheads. I think he's going to do it once, then maybe fake it out the second time, like an empty jump low. I think that might happen. Regardless, I got Cien moving on. And moving on to match 5. Hayatani and Sako. Sako is a very strong player, but Hayatani has been playing so clean. Hayatani's been playing so clean. Not just for the last 2 seasons, basically. Like, my dude here is a strong player. I think Hayatani is actually going to go quite far in this tournament. I think he's ready. I think that he has continued to be a strong player. It's not like he's shown any signs of letting up. And I have Hayatani taking it over Sako, round 1. Match 6, Justin Wong and Moke. I'm sorry, Justin. He's been playing some better Street Fighter. His Karen has gotten better, and he has even said this. His Karen has gotten better. That he's been playing a lot more Marvel. I get it. Playing other games helps you become a better player. I should redefine that. Playing other fighting games most of the time results in playing better in the games that you're super focusing on. Just overall, you become a better player, better game sense if you're in multiple games. And I think that has paid off for Justin, having played as much Infinite as he has been playing these days. However, with that said, damn, I love Moke. I think that he's going to take that matchup. I mean, Rashid versus Karen. That's I gotta give it to Moke on this one. All right. Problem X and 801 Strider. Again, this is another situation where my gut, the fan in me, I'm a fan of 801 Strider. Love the guy. I've said this before on this podcast. Go check his AMA. The dude he's like Prince Charming. He's a catch, ladies. Actually, I don't know if he's with... I should actually probably check that before I say that out loud. Regardless, he has wooed me, and I love him. However, I think it's going to be a tough match. I think that's going to be an interesting match to watch. Problem X, got that M. Bison. Got Lord Bison versus Laura. Who's gonna go with me on this bet that every single match in that set will end with one of them being in V-Trigger? I think that's going to be the case. Problem X has been playing so well recently. This isn't even just... watch his interviews. I think it's with Matthew Edwards. I think it's with the Street Writer just recently, where he says that he's working hard. He's putting in the hard work. and he's got the knowledge. He's probably the best Bison out there that I could think of. I think that this tournament's probably going to prove that. Very strong Bison, very strong Lord Bison. I think he's my favorite here in this particular matchup between Problem X and 801 Stratus. So I'm giving it to Problem X. Moving on to round 2, and now Itabashi, Zangief, and Phenom. I mean, no question. There's no question here. You know who's moving on. I'm only going to say it out loud so that there is no and can be no confusion. But Itabashi Zangief will be moving on from round 1. Please. He's not going to go out in round 1. It's Itazan. It's my man. It's the best Zangief out there. That's the best Zangief. He's moving on round 1. Please. He has the muscle power within him to move on. I have faith in Itabashi. All right. Moving on to the 9th match. Tokido versus Ricky Ortiz. We talked about Ricky getting into Capcom Cup at length in last week's show. So if you're interested in talking about that quote-unquote controversy, I actually don't think it's very controversial. It was in the rules the entire time. It just upset a lot of people. I get it. And I think that's something they're going to be addressing perhaps next year for the Capcom Pro Tour. But regardless, this is the match we're going to have on Saturday. This will happen. Tokido versus Ricky Ortiz. I think Ricky's going to come in strong, but she is not going to beat Tokido. He's too good. He's too good, and he's been too good, and he's still too good. And we know for a fact he's going to get the right distance on that monitor. If they set his chair in a location in the stage that, he can't get that right distance, if he can't get that to the best 1/8 of an inch, maybe Ricky has a shot here. But otherwise, Toki is moving on round 1, please. All right, next matchup, Gachikun versus Go1 versus Goichi. I'm actually going to give it to Goichi on this one. Rashid versus Ibuki. It's one of those things. I think this could go either way. Both of them are very strong players. I feel like that's going to be a bracket breaker right up front. Because I honestly feel this. I am actually 50-50 on this one in my heart of hearts. But if you gotta ask me, if you want my bracket advice, I have Goichi Ibuki taking over Gachikun's Rashid. I just do. Okay, match 11. Fudo versus Momochi. This one is super sad because of how often these two play each other. Play each other, just seen around each other all the time. Gotta fly over to Anaheim, California to play in the biggest tournament of the year. And they gotta play each other round 1. That's just, I don't know, that's rough. Fudo, of course, playing Armika. Momochi, probably playing Ibuki. I don't think he's playing Ken anymore. I don't think he would. I didn't think about the matchup for a second, but that'll be Ibuki. I don't know. He'll probably play Ken, actually. And I think Fudo's going to take it. I've said this on the podcast before, but Fudo is my wife's favorite player. So, gotta give it to Fudo. Also, to be clear here, not just my wife's favorite player, I think Fudo is very strong. I think, again, this is just another player who has been very consistent. I think very consistent in Japan as well. I think Fudo has a good chance of going pretty far in this tournament, and I'm giving it Fudo round 1. And moving on to Banchan and Smug. Banchan, I think, is going to be playing Nash here. I don't think we're going to see that late season switch here. I think he's going to stick with Nash, who he's been with for a while. Nash versus Smug's Balrog. This one is kind of tough. I feel like a lot of people might give this one to Smug, and I think they might be right. But I think Banchan's going to take it. I think Banchan is going to show up to this tournament, and he is going to come hungry. He's going to at least put on a performance. I love Banchan, giving it to Banchan. I'm sorry, Smug. I'm so sorry, Smug. Again, I love you. And I know you love Banchan too. I'm not telling you to take a dive, but maybe for some bracket accuracy, maybe. Alright. Moving on, we got Yukadon versus Didimo KOF. I think this one is going to be pretty clear. I'm giving this to Yukadon. Yukadon is so good. His Ibuki is so good. He's been playing so cleanly, nearing the end of the season. He has a lot of momentum right now too. Again, we keep talking about momentum. He's been rolling all year. Kind of similar to how Toki has been rolling. But Yukadon's Ibuki versus Didimo KOF's Dalsum, I think this one's going to Yukadon. I might even say this one's free Yukadon. I might even say that. I'm sorry. Alright, folks, moving on to the next match, we have Oil King versus Snake Eyes. This one hurts, actually. This one hurts. I love Snake Eyes. Watch that Red Bull documentary on him. It's super good. He is a good dude at heart. I love him. I loved watching that dude play. I love his attitude. I love his Zangief. But I think Oil King's going to take this. I think Oil King's Rashid is going to take this. Because Oil King has been... I think a lot of people are sleeping on Oil King. I know there are a lot of people out there who know who he is and are familiar with how good Oil King is. But I don't know if that has necessarily translated to a lot of people in the States. A lot of people stateside. I don't think have a good grip on how overbearing, how smothering Oil King plays, how smart this man is. I have some faith in Oil King. I'll say that now to allude to some later matchups, but I have Oil King taking it over Snake Eyes round one. Next up, we have Dogra versus Luffy. Dogra versus Dogra. That's, if you say that with a harsh American accent, it is rather funny. But I'm giving this one to Dogra's Urian over Luffy's Armika. I just think that I don't know, he's so good, and his Urian's real hard to block. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And I have Dogra taking over Luffy round one. Now, next up, last match in round one is Verloren versus Mago. I have this one on Verloren. I have this one on Verloren's Cammy over Mago's Karen. I know Mago is so good. I know he's a good player. The things that I've seen him do in big tournaments later in the latter half of this year have been unimpressive. And I know that everyone out there, everyone on this list has been training up hard to beat Karen in this tournament. They have their eye on that number one slot. They have their eye on Punk. But in the process of doing so, I think has doubly prepared them to beat Mago. And I'm sorry, Mago, but giving round one to Verloren here. Alright, that wraps up round one. So we're going to hop back to the top of the bracket to Punk in round two. Punk versus Brolino. I'm giving this one to Punk. I think this one's pretty clear. I Brolino is a very strong player, but I do believe that Punk will send him to losers in round 2. I think Punk has Necalli experience. I think that's pretty clear here. One of his better training partners plays Necalli, so I think that this is going to be... I might say he's going to go 3-0 in this particular matchup, but got Punk moving on in round 2. Round 2, next up in round 2, I have Kazunoko versus Cien. I got to give this one to Kaz. I have to give it to Kazunoko. I know that Cien has this momentum here, but Kaz is just such a good player. I've heard a lot of people say that they don't think, and I've been hearing people say this for a while, and I think it's a line of hot bullshit, and it's that they think about how, I've even said this, to be clear, that the way that Kazunoko plays is he's very challenging on your wake-ups. One of his things is like wake up crouching medium kick or wake up jab, just to challenge you for maybe trying to bait a throw. And then people say, oh, Cien, he's so clean. He's got mad setups. He's going to be meaty AF all over your A. But that assumes that Kazunoko he's just going off the handle like he's rolling the dice in his brain. That is not the case. Kazunoko gets away with crouching medium kick on wake up because he's aware that the next time you're going to try and pressure him, you're going to try and bait a throw, and he's going to punish you for it. But he's not going to just... that's the thing that he's so good at, is that he's so good at not just avoiding or playing defensively against pressure. It's that he's a step ahead and punishing you for that potential pressure you were going to do anyway. It is a riskier way to play, yes. But the dude's a mind reader. His sense for Oki is, I almost want to say, unmatched. And his cameo's been very strong this year. I'm giving it to Kaz over Cien. I'm sorry. Kaz is moving on round 2. Alright, next up, Hayatani versus Moke. Hayatani is so good. He is so good. I will repeat this to death. Hayatani is so good. His Rashid will be moving on against... his Necalli is moving on versus Moke's Rashid. It won't be clean. This one won't be free. This will actually be a fun match to watch if it ends up happening, but giving it to Hayatani. Moving on to round 2. Alright, round 2. This one is interesting because we saw this at Wednesday Night Fights, at least as it's showing up in my bracket. Problem X versus Itabashi Zangief in round 2. If you watched Wednesday Night Fights on Wednesday, last night, this matchup happened. And I saw people share that clip of Problem X perfecting Itazan in round 1. But the rest of that set did not go that way for Problem X. It was 2-0 Itabashi Zangief, and I think he's going to take it here in Capcom Cup come Friday, if this matchup happens. So I got Itabashi moving on in round 2. In round 3, I have Tokido versus Goichi versus Go1. And again, got to give this one to Tokido. I think Tokido is just such a strong player. He is ready for Ibukis. I don't think he's going to be surprised by any Ibukis out there. My man is smart, and his Akuma will be moving on in round 2. Next up, I have Fudo versus Banchan. I love Banchan. I don't think his Nash has it against Fudo's Armika. I think Fudo's going to take this one. I think we're going to see some. It's going to be a close match. There's going to be a lot of interesting situations in the neutral where one of them might press a button that seems like it's out of nowhere and it will connect with their opponent. I think that will definitely happen in this particular matchup, and you'll go, how did that connect? I would like to watch this match just for the possibility of that happening, because I think it's very high. It'll be like, well, was he a mod, or did he know he was going to press that button at that time? And the answer is just yes, he did. And I'm not saying I know who it's going to be, who's going to do this. It could be either of them, but that'll be an interesting matchup to watch if it ends up happening. All right. Next up in round 2, Yugadon and Oil King. I'm giving this to Oil King. This is maybe my biggest bracket upset. I think a lot of people are going to go into this thinking Yugadon has it on lock, but I am giving this one to Oil King. I think Oil King's going to take it. I think he's going to move on in round 2. I have that gut feeling that's telling me that he's going to outperform people's expectations, because they don't expect much of him. I think he's going to give Yugadon a run for his money if this matchup happens. So I got Oil King moving on in round 2. Now, moving down the bracket, Dogra versus Verloren. Giving this one to Dogra. I think Dogra is so good. His mix-up's so good. His Urian is strong. Giving it to Dogra. He's moving on in round 2. Which we'll keep it winner's side for now. We might drop down to loser's side in a minute, because I have some. We'll probably hop down to loser's side after we go through winner's side. But moving on to round 3, winner's side, I have Punk versus Kazunoko in round 3 winners. And in this instance, I am giving it to Punk. Punk is so strong. I could say this about both of these players, but I think that Punk is going to take it over Kazunoko. So I have Punk moving on in round 3, winner's side. Next up, we have Hayatani versus Itabashi Zangief. You know where my muscle belief is. I worship at the altar of muscle, and Itabashi Zangief will be moving on in round 3. Itabashi Zangief is going far in this tournament in winner's side. He's going on to round 3. He will be moving on to round 4. But we'll get into what happens after that. Round 3. Next up, I have Tokido versus Fudo. I think this is going to be an upset here. I think that people's expectations are that Tokido is so strong. How could he lose to Fudo? And I think Fudo's going to beat Tokido. It will not be free. It will be a contentious match, but Fudo will come out the victor and move on to round 4. Moving down the list, Oil King versus Dogra. This one was tough, but again, I'm giving it to my man Oil King. He might not, I might be totally wrong in this assumption that Oil King is going to come in hard with his Rashid and make some waves in this bracket. I might be totally wrong on that, and this matchup has no potential to even happen. However, I'm giving it to Oil King in round 3. He will be moving on against Dogra. Okay. Now moving on to round 4. I have Punk and Itabashi Zangief. Punk's going to pick Nash, and he's going to beat Itabashi Zangief. It won't be 3-0, but it might be 3-1. Now don't tell me, but I saw this matchup at Wednesday Night Fights. If you think Punk showed up to that tournament to play, I don't think that's true at all. And I'm not just saying that as someone who's just a huge fan of Punk, because I think that we all know who my spirit is with right now. But I think Punk's going to take it. It's what happened at EVO. And if this matchup happens, I got Punk moving on against Itabashi Zangief in round 4. The other match in round 4, this is top 8 winner side, is Fudo versus Oil King, and this is where Oil King's reign ends. I have Fudo moving on in round 4, which then puts us at an interesting winners finals with Punk and Fudo. And I'm actually going to give winners finals to Fudo. And I'm going to stop there on winner's side, right? I'm going to say that Fudo takes it over Punk in winner's side. Now let's move down to the loser's side of the bracket, right? So again, that was Fudo versus Punk, winners finals. I'm giving that one to Fudo. I think if that matchup happens, I think he can beat Punk. Now, round 1 losers. The last chance qualifier winner versus Daigo. Wouldn't that be interesting if that's Infiltration? And wouldn't you know it, I have Daigo losing. I have Daigo going 0-2. I have Daigo going 0-2 in this tournament. Because, I mean, if that's Infiltration, that's Manat versus Guile. And I actually don't think that's a very hot matchup for Guile. I think Daigo's going to need to put some work in if that particular matchup happens. I absolutely think Infiltration will be moving on and taking it over Daigo in round 1 losers. Moving on, losers round 1, I have Big Bird versus Menard. Giving this one to Big Bird. Love Big Bird. Next match, Sako versus Jay Wong. I'm sorry, Justin. I'm sorry. But you haven't won a match in Capcom Cup. You haven't won a match in Capcom Cup yet, man. It hasn't happened. I'm sorry. And I don't know if it's going to be your year. But I have Sako taking it. Moving on in from losers round 1. Next up, 801 Strider versus Phenom in my bracket. I have 801 Strider moving on. Now the next matchup, Ricky Ortiz versus Gachikun. I'm giving this one to Ricky because I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on Ricky and saying she's going to be free. She hasn't been putting in any work since she pretty much knew she wasn't going to qualify for Capcom Cup. But lo and behold, little did she know that she might make it into Capcom Cup. And I think that this one would be, this in my heart is what I want. It will very likely actually be Gachikun moving on in this matchup, or Koichi moving on versus Ricky Ortiz. However, it would be an interesting story if Ricky could at least show that, she showed up. Not free. Even if her matches are interesting to watch and not blowouts, like that would be, I'd like that as well. But I want those to be interesting matchups, and for the story and for the exciting, for it to be an exciting tournament, for things that I think would be cool to watch. It would be cool to watch Ricky Ortiz move on here in losers round 1. Next up, down the bracket, I have Momochi versus Smug. Oof, I'm sorry, Momochi, but I'm giving this one to Smug. Momochi's been focusing on his training programs, got that ninja school all up and running, and I think that has taken a lot of his interest away, but a lot of his ability to really hone in on the skills to blast through this tournament. And I think Smug is hungry, and I think Smug's going to take it if this match happens. Giving it to Smug. So next up, this one's a rough roll of the dice, but Didimo KOF versus Snake Eyes in losers round 1. Listen, I know Snake has the ability to play against a lot of very strong Dulcims. I know he has that ability. However, I am giving this one to Didimo. He'll probably choose Akuma in this matchup. He'll switch off Geef, and at that point the muscle spirit will have left him and traveled into the body of Itabashi Zangief, thus doubling the muscle spirit of Itabashi Zangief, giving him the power to move on in the winner's side. Please have faith. When you worship at the altar of muscle, these are the realities that I have to live with, and I think that's going to happen. We're going to see the muscle spirit leave Snake Eyes, through his eyes actually, and then be transferred into it will become flesh in the body of Itazan. Alright, last match in losers finals, I have Luffy and Mago. I know I was giving Mago some shit earlier, but I'm throwing him this match. Specifically because of something that Problem X said in his interview, that he kind of downplays how people's work ethic in their grind out there in the EU. I think because of that, I think Luffy might be a little bit soft right now. I don't think he's coming in hard into Capcom Cup. At least not as trained as Mago's going to be. I think Mago has a lot to. I would like to see Mago go further in this tournament than 0-2, even though I think that it is a distinct possibility that he might. All right, losers round 2. I have Verloren versus the Last Chance Qualifiers, and I have Verloren moving on. It would be interesting if it was Infiltration moving on and really tearing up this bracket, but I don't think that anyone from Last Chance Qualifiers will make it very far in the tournament. I could be totally wrong on that. I could be talking out of my ass right now. And again, I will say, the sports writer in me says that it is interesting. If this spot goes to Infiltration and he tears up the bracket, makes top 8, and proves me wrong, I'd love to see that. But I have Verloren moving on in round 2. Next up, I have Yukidon and Big Bird. Giving this one to Yukidon. I'm sorry, Big Bird, but 1-2 Capcom Cup. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yukidon is just, he's too strong. He's too strong. And he's been playing so consistently that it would be hard to... It's hard not to have Yukidon not go far in this particular tournament. I know I sent him down to losers pretty early, but it's hard to envision a scenario where Yukidon doesn't make it to at least top 8 in this tournament. Next up, I have Banchan versus Sako. Gotta love Banchan. He's moving on. Shut up. Sorry, Sako. Next up, I have Goichi versus 801 Strider. Again, I love 801 Strider, but I'm giving this one to Goichi. Then next up, I got Problem X versus Ricky Ortiz. I'm giving this one to Problem X. Problem X is so strong. His Bison very strong. And even if it's Gotchikin in this situation, I think even in that scenario, I would give it to Problem X. Moving on, Moke versus Smug. I'm gonna give this one to Smuggles. I'm gonna put Smug ahead here. I'm gonna give him the win. He's gonna stay alive for another round. Next up, I have Cien versus Didimo, and I'm actually gonna give a big upset here. I think this is gonna be the weird big upset, and I'm gonna give it to Didimo KOF. And my gut might be telling me that Cien might not even make it. Cien might ride to winners finals here. That might happen. That scenario might happen, but in this particular bracket, I'm going to put Didimo ahead. Brolinho versus Mago. This is where Mago stops and Brolinho moves on in the bracket. Then moving on to losers round 3. Verloren versus Yukidon. I'm giving that one to Yukidon. Again, I can't envision a scenario where Yukidon doesn't make it to top 8. I just can't. Then next up, I got Banchan versus Goichi, and I want to see Banchan go on a tear in the losers bracket. This particular matchup, Banchan versus Goichi, if it happens, again, will be very exciting. I will be very excited to see this particular matchup. But anyway, moving on to Problem X. Oh no, I'm sorry. Did I lose my place? No, I didn't. Problem X versus Smug. This is where Smug's ride stops, and Problem X will be moving on. Problem X taking it over Smug here. Then I got Didimo KOF versus Brolinho, and I have Brolinho moving on versus Didimo KOF. Watch Nick Tanella beat Didimo KOF's Dawson. I think Brolinho has what it takes. His Nakali is nasty. Speaking of Nakalis, hot damn, Hayatani and Yukidon. This matchup's tough, but I'm giving this. I imagine this set will happen in this tournament at some point. Hayatani versus Yukidon, and I think Yukidon's going to take it. I think he's going to take it over Hayatani. Next up, I have Kazunoko versus Banchan, and Kazunoko win. I have Kazunoko taking it over Banchan in my bracket. Next up, I have Dogra versus Problem X, and I'm going to give this one to Dogra. Now, remember, I sent Tokido to losers. So that's why you see that name. I have him losing to Fudo up here in round 3 Winterside. So losers side round 4, I have Tokido versus Brolino, and Tokido's moving on. I don't think Brolino can take it over. It will be an interesting set if it happens, but I can't envision Tokido not moving on in that situation. All right, losers round 5, Yukadon versus Kazunoko. Kazunoko, losers side top 8. Kazunoko is so good. He's so good. I know that Yukadon has this momentum. I know that he has this consistent play throughout the year, but I'm giving it to Kaz. I love Kaz. He's moving on. Dogra versus Tokido. Tokido will be moving on. Now I have in losers round 6, Oil King versus Kazunoko, and I am giving it to Kazunoko. Oil King's reign ended in Winterside when he fought against Fudo in my bracket, losing to Fudo and then losing to Kazunoko. That would be rough. And then the bottom side of losers round 6, I have Itabashi, Zangief, and Tokido. And this is where the muscle dies, friends. This is where we bury the muscle. And that one's tough if it were to happen, but I think Tokido would have it clean. It's not a great matchup for Akuma either, but Tokido is and has been so strong this year that I would love to see Tokido move on in that set, even though I have muscle bias. All right, losers round 7. This is losers semifinals. I have Kazunoko versus Tokido, and I'm giving it to Tokido. To create a scenario in losers finals of Punk versus Tokido, this is my dream scenario. That they don't actually meet in Winterside, where there's a chance for them to have at it again. I want a one and done between them. I want this blood feud to be settled in Capcom Cup with one best of 5. I don't want there to be a reset situation. One and done. That's it. And I'm going to give it to Punk in this situation. I think specifically because he's going to come into this set so hungry to beat Tokido. Will Tokido use that to his advantage, knowing that Punk has that thirst, has that hunger? Perhaps. But I want to see them play one set best of 5, and I want to see Punk take it. Which then brings us to grand finals. Again, a repeat of Fudo versus Punk in winners finals. And I have Punk winning in grand finals, but the grand finals reset, I'm giving it to Fudo, and Fudo is my grand champion of Capcom Cup 2017. I love Fudo. I think it's Fudo's time. He has played the Maid of Honor so many times this year that I can't take it. I can't take it anymore. Got to give this man his dues. He is so strong. I love his Armika. I love the way he plays in general. It is a thing to watch, and there's going to be some interesting sets here, but I would love to see Fudo take it this year at Capcom Cup. And I know I sold out my country, but I wouldn't be the first person to do it, right? Wouldn't be the first person to sell out their country in America. When discussing Capcom Cup 2017, I'm saying, but I would love to see Fudo take it this year in grand finals of Capcom Cup. But again, I want to set up that specific scenario of Punk versus Tokido. Losers finals, they play one set best of 5, and I want to see Punk take it. To face off, to get that like double jeopardy, right? With Fudo versus Punk. That would just be an interesting situation. This would be an interesting bracket. It might be, might want to see if Infiltration makes it as the last chance qualifier. Maybe that messes up your bracket a little bit. Maybe it changes how your gut feels about it. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you have going far in your bracket. Respond to in the comments section. I'm going to provide a bracket that you guys can fill out, or actually just share the. I actually think they have prizes on the official Smash GG tournament, like fantasy bracket that you guys can fill out. So actually, I'll share that one. Because they're giving out like hoodies and stuff. Because you'd want a sick hoodie. I want a sick hoodie. Bet it's cozy on the inside. Actually, now that I think about it, would Capcom's hoodie be cozy on the inside? Probably not. It's filled with disappointment. But I'll share that in the comments section of this. If you're listening to the podcast, I'm sharing in the comments section of the podcast. It'll be there in the post when it's posted to Reddit. And if you're watching this on YouTube, that information will be in the description. So anyway, folks, that wraps it up. That's kind of my path through Capcom Cup 2017. Again, very interested to see what you guys have to say. See who you guys have going forward. And don't tell me Itabashi Zangief's going out round one. Don't tell me that. I'm talking Itazan right now. Muscle Spirit has risen again within me, showing up one more time as I close out tonight. Again, I'm Joe Monday. You can find me at Super Joe Monday on Twitter, or you can find me on the sub on our Street Fighter at user Joe_Monday. That's Joe _MUNDAY. A slight misspelling of the day. And that wraps it up for the latest edition of RSF Radio. Take care, folks. Peace.